At risk of sounding like the most insufferable Joker fanboy cosplaying an edgy teenager whose favorite subreddit is r/atheism, I'd like to posit that society abandons people and treats them like trash. And that's how you end up with people like me. Now, to explain what I mean, I feel like it's necessary to use a metaphor. And because I'm American, and the majority of my audience is likely American, let's imagine society as a burger. So, you have this society burger, and it's stratified into many different layers of carbohydrates, protein, fiber, and condiments. There are some spots where one layer of the burger bleeds into another, just a bit, but for the most part, each of the different layers of the burger is its own separate unified thing. If any of the pieces of the burger are missing, you don't have a full burger, but that doesn't mean there aren't some layers that make up more of what a burger is than others. Take the bottom bun, for example. It forms the bedrock of a burger, but it's eclipsed by pretty much everything else on it. Hell, it's probably the soggiest, nastiest part of the burger because it's underneath the juicy meat, the wet lettuce, the oozing tomato, and the week old mayo. In society, the bottom bun is what I like to call the undesirables. Now hold on. I'm only like a third German. When I say undesirables, I mean the people on whom all of society's ills and woes are placed and on whom the blame is placed as well. All the juice from the upper layers just soaks down onto these poor sods. These are the homeless, the disabled, the severely mentally ill, basically anyone who gets a whole lot of shit from the rest of society with little to nothing to gain from it. The next layer up is the patty, the juicy, meaty patty. This is where most people are. The tradesman, the teachers, the bricklayer, the wife beater, the fat kid, and the gym leader. If you are capable of working in manual labor or a retail job, you've made it out of the bottom bun and into the patty. Probably a good 80% of people in society fit in here, and there's all types. The next layer up is that crystal of cheese, lettuce, tomato, and toppings that forms what I like to call the extras. Anyone here has already made it and is just coasting on the returns. This includes the children of the wealthy, the business owners, the landlords, basically anyone who has a lot of free reign to do with their time what they choose. If you don't have to work to make money and you own shit, this is you. And last, but definitely not least, you got the top bun. This is the class of people who make a burger, or since this metaphor is getting really fucking played out, a society. The politicians, the CEOs, the religious leaders. These are the guys who organize everyone else into little groups and boss them around. They're the ones at the top of society, trying as best they can to direct it. Together, all these groups form a society. Now, what happens to the aforementioned bleed-throughs, the people who straddle one layer of society and another? In my case, this is being someone who is not all mentally there, but not mentally ill enough to be considered unable to function normally. For you, it could be having a minor but inconvenient physical disability, such as being extremely physically unattractive. Regardless of what your circumstances are, it's on this border between bottom bun and patty that cells are born. Look cells, mental cells, down on your luck cells. It's this position in society, and no other, that's growing faster than the juice from your Whopper soaks through the container. One thing I have to clear up real fast is that I don't agree with how the incel black pill stuff is portrayed usually. I think it's frankly kind of misogynistic and retarded, and if you're an incel who likes the black pill, not just as a description of looks being the determinant of your success in the sexual marketplace, but also of a philosophy encompassing the psychology of women, at least hear me out before you click off the video. Everyone wants more than just sex. Women might, in general, be able to have sex whenever they want, but I think you're deluding yourself if you think that being desired as a sex object is a positive thing at all times. You want that genuine connection. That's why escort cells are still cells. You don't have that special something. That one-itis, oofy-doofy picket fence. And even if it was easier for women to get that too, that doesn't change the fact that a whole lot of people in our generation, and throughout history, have struggled with the same problems we do today. A lack of sincere love and connection shared with other people. Ultimately, though, it doesn't matter if your looks dictate your sexual success or not, because oofy-doofy emotional connections between yourself and others are the bedrock of stable pairings. Maybe we'd all have it easier if we forgot the dream of a white picket fence and a soulmate, and instead settled for someone we could stand. Unfortunately, being pragmatic about romantic pairings is viewed as heartless in modern society, and we cannot ever go back to the 1950s. Not that we'd necessarily want to, as our romantic view of the past likely neglects to include the issues look cells and mental cells struggled with back then. The biggest cope might have been thinking monogamous success was even a valid measure of one's own sexual value in the first place. It was a blip in the history of humanity, not an established order. At least now, you won't be chemically or physically lobotomized for being a social retard. Of course, it's not so easy as telling people to simply forget their sexual and romantic desires to live a life of personal pursuits, because physical and mental disfigurements can affect your chances in the job market, your educational opportunities, and pretty much everything else in your life as well. So, what can possibly be done if you find yourself in that soggy, fucked up midpoint between the bun and the patty? Well, for now, it doesn't seem like much will be done about it. Some people would hope to address systemic issues in society through redistributive economic policies. Cell socialism, if you will. Others would like to revert society to some imagined state of primordial perfection, in which people are assigned roles from on high and given purpose from above. Neither one of these things is going to be implemented in society anytime soon. So for now, just do your fucking best, because you can't do much else. I think as the necessity of romantic pairings in society starts to disintegrate, we're going to see fewer and fewer people getting that white picket fence dream, that stable marriage and 2.5 kids. Some of this is, of course, tied to the emancipation of women and them entering the workforce, but women's needs matter as much as men's needs matter. So there's no sense in advocating for a return to patriarchy, nor being spiteful towards people on the basis of them not wanting to participate in your desires. Ultimately, shit's just gonna be fucked until we can all find a way to cope with the death of the family model we've had as a society for the past couple hundred years.
It is what it is. It is what it is.